If you are thinking of a bank that takes care of customers' needs by providing quality services with flexibility, reliability, and innovation, think Trust Bank Limited. With Trust Bank Limited mobile banking, you enjoy services such as balance inquiry, mini statement, funds transfer between accounts, exchange rates, mobile airtime top-up, stop ATM card, checkbook request, and PIN change. Our real-time gross settlement allows the customer to instruct the bank to transfer funds from their account to another account at another bank. Our expertise and experience in international banking is both legendary and the envy of the market. Retail banking, one bank, different amazing packages. Whether you are interested in savings account, current account, time or fixed deposit account, lending or overdraft, our team of dedicated staff is always ready and willing to help you out with your transactions as you wish. Corporate banking. Trust Bank Limited offer the most convenient services for deposit accounts, credit facilities, trade finance, bond and guarantee, and foreign currency account. With e-banking, you can make electronic bill payments and online banking and enjoy 24-hour access to your cash with our ATM. With the largest network of branches and agents, we give you the convenience to receive funds as you please. Trust Bank Limited, proudly Gambian.
fay lempo warugal la ci képp koo xam ne doomi réew mi nga ak ñu fi dëkk bu fekkee ne ci at mi sa koom-koom weesu na $2,400 dalasi mbete weer bu nekk di nga am lu tollu ci $2,000 dalasi lempo si la nguur gi di sukkandeku ngir liggéey yokkute réew mi GRA mooy banxaas bu nguuri Gambia sas ngir mu fayeku lépp luy lempo ci biir réew mi ba tax na GRA di yëgal faykati lempo yi ne warugal la pour ñu fay lu ñu naan withholding tax on contract payment maanaam bépp contract bu waay joxe te ci biir réew mi lañu toog kon xaalis ci contract bi ngeen nangotoo war nga cee wàññi ci xayma téeméer bu nekk fukka bu fekkee ne contracto bi dëkkut ci biir réew mi bu boobaa di nga war a wàññi téeméer bu nekk fukka ak juróom lii mooy lempo bu ñu naan withholding tax on contract payment lii mooy lempo bi nga xam ne yow mi joxe contract warugal la nga wëlbatiku dem fay ko ci maakaani GRA tax office bu la gën a jege mbete ci banque yi GRA jagleel pour fay lempo war ngaa jéebal lempo bi si diiri fukki fan ak juróom gannaaw bi nga wàññee ci xaalis si contract bi amul benn contracto bu ñu teggil fay lempo bi xanaa mu fekk ne nguuri Gambia ñoo ko jéegale boole si projet yi nga xam ne mbootaay ndimbali ñoo koy dépense GRA di fayeku lempo ngir yokk.
For the first time in the history of the Gambia, Gambia Printing Publishing Corporation proudly introduces the Biliomatic exercise book printing machine. The machine has the capacity to print more than 20,000 books per hour. Yes, 20,000 books per hour. It also prints magazines, newspapers, calendars, flyers, normal books, and all kinds of printed documents, plus items at affordable prices. With the Biliomatic printing machine, GPPC can now render high-quality and non-size restricted printing service supply across the sub-region. Rush now and partner with GPPC for all your public and private printing service needs. Print with us today and you'd be offered highly professional, reliable, and efficient service delivery by our team of experts. The Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation is here to meet all demands and is reliable at all times. For more info, contact us on 437-4493 or 437-4402. GPPC is Gambian and it's yours.
In communication, connectivity is everything. We ensure that the links never sleep. Quantities and qualities all in our data service, providing efficient, reliable voice and data service. We believe if you're not up to speed, then you're going backwards. Communications have to flow as fast as the speed of light. Whatever business you're in, having someone who understands your needs is critical. That is why we just don't offer you technology, we offer you solutions. Enjoy Gamcel's internet broadband anytime, anywhere. Your national operator, Gamcel, Yaibara.
This is on Kerr Fatou. Fatou. Oli.
Right before we came into this program, I saw a report from the Samdu MP citing how this budget is development focused. So to discuss all of this, I have with me Honorable Amadou Sanneh, former Finance Minister. Amadou, I always have you here when we do this budgeting because I always want us to have somebody who has done this before. You have prepared budgets before, and then so you have an experience. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
And of course, I have Honorable Suwaibou Touray, Nam for Wuli is, who is one of the biggest critics of some of the things that were in this budget. Honorable, welcome to Kerr Fatou.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, Honorable, first I'll start with you. You have been a custodian of the budget, somebody who prepares the budgets for the in 2017, 2018, I guess, right? I want you to tell us, when you first looked at the 2023 estimates, what stood out for you?
Fatou, what stood out is that it's mainly an expenditure budget, which is inflationary. Everything is geared toward expenditure to the extent that you have a deficit of around $4 billion. And what a deficit entails is you don't have the funds. So you have to go out and borrow. And where are they going to borrow? The domestic market, that is the T-bills. So that is going to also have an impact on the economy because if you float, 3 billion, 4 billion in T-bills, the banks will be happy to buy it because it's virtually risk-free. Whether it's the borough government or another government, you will be paid your treasury bills. But if I go to a bank with a project proposal, maybe employing 20 people, another person, another project proposal, say this is too risky. Let me put my money in treasury bills. So this is how it affects the economy. So instead of creating growth, it contracts the economy. You crowd out the private sector from accessing financing funds. So overall, the way it has been prepared, given the background that the minister was saying, that the world, generally, you have difficult economic situations.
Yeah.
And he's saying that they didn't access all the grants that were budgeted in the previous year. Only 30% of 14 billion.
Was accessed.
30% of 14 billion in the last budget.
Last budget.
Yes. So if 30% was accessed and you did not revise your expenditure downwards, all you are going to do is to spend more, far more than you have. And your deficit, if it goes the way you have, the expenditure, the way you have budgeted, will be far more than the last year. Is it 4 billion deficit? It's around the same as it. So you have a 10 billion shortfall in revenue. So how on earth, what kind of economic sense is it? You know your income is falling, and you go and project very high expenditure level, 35 billion. It's so unrealistic.
Wow.
So instead of cutting down on the debt, you are increasing the debt. And likewise this year, if the grants fail, you are going to end up with a bigger deficit. That means even more borrowing, public debt. The public debt around 2016 was about $50 billion. Now we're talking about 88 billion.
Wow.
So,
in just
yes,
a couple of years.
Couple of years. He's borrowed more than all the other heads of state. And with these deficits accumulating, so we're likely to hit 100 billion very soon. So what economic logic is there just to borrow and spend something you don't have? And especially when most of it is on just salaries and recurrent costs. Salaries is about 6 billion. And your annual collection of tax revenue, Gambia is a tax-based economy. Yeah. It's about just 13 billion.
13 billion.
So almost 50%,
half of 50% of our collection goes to salary.
Then your debt service is about 3 billion. So now if you add that to salary, that's 9 billion out of the 13 billion. It's already gone. Before you do anything, that one is gone. Because I don't think they will come and tell people, no, next month we cannot pay you, we don't have money. They have to borrow to pay. So you have a small 4 billion balance in that tax revenue, which the current cost in terms of fuel, maintenance, furniture, office expenses, stationery, admin costs, travels, all of those fit into it. And it's not adequate to finance all those expenditures.
Now, what is it, I read from one of the stories that Madi raised saying 85% of the budget is all recurrent. Only 15% goes to development. I think he cited that in the educational sector, 96% is recurrent. Only 4% is development. Now, as a country, how effective is that if we want to develop in any sector? I know these are challenging times. People will tell you the coronavirus, the Ukraine war. Shouldn't that be the reason why we should cut on other things? Honorable.
Yes, thank you very much. You said it right. Like you said, if the minister speaks, makes a statement, and he set out his objectives, you tend to think that when it comes to allocation, it will be along those lines. But when it comes to allocation, then you see that the allocation is completely different from the statement. Because the statement is saying exactly what you are saying, that we had COVID-19, which brought us to a crisis. And before we recover that, while we are trying to recover from that, then the Ukraine war came. and it's now double. And then what that has caused us is a bigger damage.
Yeah.
And therefore, we must cut our costs according to the size. Now, if that is the case, if there is cited agriculture, cited education, cited health, and I think is youth.
Tourism.
Yeah.
And then those are the key sectors that we must utilize. We must invest into utilize it so that we turn the Gambia into a resilient economy, an economy that will be resilient.
Okay.
If the Gambia is going to be resilient, for example, you will see that we'll have to invest in agriculture so that at least food security or insecurity will be reduced. So that cases like issues like Ukraine, the way it's affecting us, it will be reduced. But right now, what Gambia is spending on food, we are importing more than half of our food requirements.
Okay.
And just on rice alone, I was telling them, rice alone, we are spending $80 million.
Wow.
And that's about $5 billion. That's what we are spending to import rice alone.
Rice alone.
So if we want to be resilient, we want to do things that will help us to escape the repercussion of what happens in Ukraine, what is happening in Ukraine. It means that we have to go towards issues that will help us to produce more food for our population. But from the recurrent, what is allocated to agriculture is just 2.2% of the budget, which is about 280 million. That is from the recurrent. So the rest of what is in agriculture is loans.
It's on loans and grants.
And I was calculating that from the records is about $2 billion, $300 million.
What happens if those loans and grants don't come? What happens?
Yes, if the loans don't, loans you calculate.
Yeah, but the grants,
he knows.
You
go for loans that are having lesser interest. For example, but you have grants. Like you said, 30% of the grants only came.
Last year,
It means 70 did not come. So if they don't come, you don't have them, then you will not be able to use them. So what happened also is that with the recurrent, what is allocated, it is a very funny situation because you have the different ministries and departments, and then they prepare their budget and they meet the finance ministry, and they go for bilateral. And in that bilateral, there are cuts. The ministry will cut because it gives them a ceiling. And they keep on cutting until they are within that ceiling. So when they arrive at the National Assembly also, we also have bilateral. In this bilateral, instead of helping us to cut in other areas so that we will be able to reduce the deficit that he is talking about, the 4 billion, we instead, they are in fact clamoring to increase the allocation that is made to them. For example, if we go to women's ministry, Ministry of Women's and
Affairs,
what they allocate for them.
It was just about 78 million, but it went to after it was revised estimate, it went to 83.
Yeah, we had the National Assembly cut some other places and then give them another 5 million. $5 million. So if we go to Human Rights Commission also, we give them 7.7 million. So other areas also had their increase, but we had to cut it from other areas that we see that are not very urgent and they are not very necessary.
I want us to look at department by department, because Honorable, because you have this experience as the minister. Departments, I do know departments will present their budget to the ministry, and based on what you allocate them, you will see whether our budget can sustain that. Now, what I have seen, for example, from the estimates, let's start with the Office of the President. The appropriated amount was 662 million for 2023. But even the National Assembly adjusted extra and added extra 22 million to that budget. Even the Minister of Finance thought 662 was enough. But the National Assembly added 22 because there were other, I think it was extra advisors and other portfolios that were added to the ministry. So how do you come up with something like this? For example, we know we have more ministers now compared to what we had before last cabinet. And now President had already had, I think, 4 advisors, but they're adding a deputy advisor and another advisor. Now that already had come up to another 22 million that was added to the president's office budget.
Yeah. So, that in itself is a portrayal of the lack of focus, lack of direction of this budget. If I can just read what the minister was saying.
Yeah.
He's saying the 2023 budget is prepared with minimal new revenue measures in order to give respite to the private sector following the outbreak of this coronavirus and to Russia and Ukraine. Minimal new revenue measures. That means you are not expecting
any increase
much revenue.
Revenue, yes.
So what you need to do is to control your costs, your expenditure. But they're doing the reverse there, making new appointments, when in 2017, the PMO did
Charles, they're telling me the sound is low. I don't know. Can you check your sound, please? Yeah, go ahead.
The PMO, they did a survey. They found that the civil service is overloaded. Overstaffing, significant overstaffing. You need to address that to cut down your costs. But you create new ministries, new staffing, and then new positions in the president's office, and I think new departments, they call it ICT and things like that.
Yeah.
So this is going against the spirit of the budget. So if you are telling others to cut, you are increasing the office of the president. What sense does that make? Agriculture, as he said, should have been a basis for investment. An investment budget is what we require now. And what that does is it engages people, employs people, it produces revenue and goods and services within the country, and that will increase the economic growth in this country. And the areas of investment now can only be agriculture, as he said, and fisheries. That includes livestock also, and horticulture, Then the ports is an area of investment where it is falling very badly. Somebody is telling me there's only one crane there, to bring down the containers. And every time you cross Banyul Bara, you see 4, 5, or even more vessels in the estuary waiting for their turn to dock. So what's happening? You are losing business to Senegal. A lot of Gambians now they import through Senegal. So you are losing
the ports. The ports one time said if Senegalese port is busy, that is good for Gambia. How good is that?
That is the biggest mistake. Believe right. How good is it? That everybody should ask him.
Yeah.
This is the worst thing for the Gambia. You are losing revenue. You are losing port charges, handling fees, and so on. And the vessels docking there, they pay. That's the income of the ports. So if you are losing income to Senegal, you think that is good for Gambia? That is ridiculous. Definitely, it's completely ridiculous.
Now,
but I want to point out agriculture especially.
Yeah, go ahead.
With agriculture, I think the budget said 282 million.
Yeah, 282.
From 300 and
282 million, yeah.
Yes, but it was 300 and something million.
In 2022?
Yes.
Okay.
So you cutting down agriculture by $100 million.
Wow.
So what investment are you doing? That's why you're going to the farmers, telling them you cannot give them fertilizer, if they don't sell to Gambia. You cannot give them tractors. You cannot, because you are not investing in
Is it because they're getting a lot of support in the agricultural sector? Because I heard the president say they got 10 million from the World Bank to supply fertilizer this coming farming season. Could that be possible?
Those will be stories so far. It should have been reflected in the budget.
That pronouncement is not captured.
It's not captured in the budget?
In the budget. And you know, if it is authentic, it should be captured.
It should have been in the budget.
Outside the budget. Even the minister mentioned certain agreements, certain incomes that they hope to get. That's just a hope that they hope to get.
It's not so realistic.
You know, hope is not
it's not captured.
In the budget. So those are wishful things. We wish they happen. So if they happen, if they don't happen, just like grants, they don't happen. So that is not something that we can buy.
I'll give you an example. The IDB, you know, we had an agreement there in Tunis when I was in finance for this rice irrigation project, a rice value chain project. Gambia was selected to be one of the first 5. They want to help 10 countries. But this is a project. It's not a one-year thing. So the funds that you expect will go according to project implementation. Maybe it will go up to 3 years, 5 years. ADB also has a rice value chain. I see all of those in the budget. Those are the ones they are putting in the development budget. That we also negotiate. The World Bank has a rice value chain. But what is happening in the field? Go just visit Jahari Pachar and see. It's trees growing in the rice fields and so on. Very empty, barren. Nothing on the ground. And the project that we negotiated with the Agency France Development in Paris, after the Brussels, I went with Hussein Dabo, then he was foreign minister, to France. We met the government, and the French promised, look, we will come in. But we will come in directly. We don't want to pass our funds through the government. So they chose your area, URR, for the pilot project. But what's happening? Even clearing the fields, this government had not done. So do you expect those people to bring their money and put it there?
Wow. Now, my thing is, these are estimates from government. Yes. It comes to you as parliamentarians. What are the justifications, especially for the Office of the President, after the President had over 20 ministers, already have 4 advisors? He has a PR office, the Office of the Director of Press, they have a full unit. What were the justifications to have extra manpower that will attract this much cost, up to 22 million, and it was approved by the Assembly anyway? What were the justification by the minister, and why did you guys also approve this? Because I think at the end of the day, we always say, look, it comes from the minister, but it's approved by you guys.
Yes.
Why? Why was it approved, Honorable?
Yeah, that's a very good question. You know, this the last year, that is 2022. Budget. The National Assembly reduced the advisors from 5 to 4. Some of us, in fact, want to bring it up to 3. Considering that ministers are the best advisors to the president. Okay, you also have permanent secretaries, you also have parliament. So you will have 5 advisors, and then 3 deputy advisors. That makes it 7 advisors.
8.
Or 8 advisors. So what is the justification? So we seek for the justification, but there is no justification. Because when the minister came to respond to the queries that we all made, he did not mention any justification regarding that. But the decision is political. You know that the House is also a political gathering. So the majority now is the NPP, because they have, I think they have how many seats? 18 seats, plus the nominated members, making 5 seats.
Plus the NRP.
Plus the NRP. So when you put together, they
and
go
the
to
2 APRC.
APRC. So they have the majority. So they voted to give whatever the president asked, they give without having to give justification for it. even the Meet the People tour, the 10 million.
I was going to come to that.
Yeah, you come into
Meet the People tour last year.
Yeah.
Last year, you guys, it was proposed for 10 million.
Yeah.
Charles, can you adjust Honorable's mic a little up? Because a lot of people are telling me his mic is a little down. We'll adjust it, yeah. So, Honorable, just like we were talking about we talked about the Office of the President. We'll come to the National Assembly, but before that, even the Meet the People tour. I know last year, the opposition, APRC, UDP, the PDOIS, and others had the majority. It was proposed to have the Ministry of Finance propose 10 million. And they said no. They cut it down to 6 million. And the advisors also was cut down to 6 million, to 4 instead of 5. It's 5. But now what we have seen is, again, the Meet the People tour, even though it was 6 million, it never stopped. The president went on tour, and it was successful. But what we have seen today is the National Assembly have approved 10 million, extra 4 million. I heard Honorable Suleiman Saho saying we could have used that 4 million for another area. He was suggesting other areas. Other National Assembly members like him and Madi were also suggesting other areas, but 10 million was approved for the Meet the People tour.
Yes, you see, even the previous 2 years,
yeah,
with the 2021,
yeah,
10 million, he spent more than that. The actual is about 43 million that he spent.
43 million?
Yes. In the last one, 21, 6 million, he spent over 30 million in those tours. So this man is going with a 10 million. Don't be surprised if he comes with a bill of $50 million.
But what happens? Oversight functions of the National Assembly.
This is a question.
If you allocate 10 million to the president, or 6 million, and he spends 43 million, it goes like that, just free?
Yes, well, that question was raised. When I was speaking, I was asking the minister, what is the justification?
Yeah.
When we are doing the third reading. There was no justification given. But it went into an election, and then the majority says, let him have it. But we know that it must be explained how 6 million is allocated for an activity, and then it ends up consuming 43 million. You understand? Or 10 million is allocated, and it ends up consuming 43 million. That must be explained. Because this is what is allocated. Yeah. But what they do in practice, in practice, what they do, if they want to do those type of things, is to
firemen.
You take it from other sectors. That's why I'm very critical of the estimates, because there are many budget lines. They will say we'll do this A, B, C, D, etc., and then they put amounts there. But in actual fact, when it comes to implementation, they will via and do whatever they want. And that's why we must be very critical of the budget to ensure whatever is not that necessary, absolutely necessary, we ensure that we cut it down to a level. But that is only, is the individual mind, but the collective mind.
That's why they said election have consequences.
Exactly.
Because if you don't have the numbers, you don't have these things.
You don't have them. But definitely 10 million, in my view, is sufficient for the president to go and meet the people. Because the objective of the president meeting the people is not to go and hold mighty rallies all over the place. The objective is to go, he's mentioning the projects, the rice value chain. We have so many, it's chain, many rice value chain projects. It's here. It's about 5, plus other projects, agricultural projects. So if you put all the projects together, it may go up to, 15. Different projects. And a lot of millions went into that. It's 100 and something million, 200 million, 1 billion, etc., etc. So, like I said, it's 2 billion, 2.3 billion that is in those projects. Wow. Different from the allocation, the current budget gave them. So, it is the president's duty now when he goes to meet the people. It's not to go and hold rallies, but it's to go to those gardens.
And see
physically.
Those
like, for example, he was said to have come to this road to see the battle-hardened highway.
Yeah.
And he said he's not satisfied.
He was not satisfied.
So it's the same way, is to go and see those
projects and see whether he will be satisfied where the loans are going. Because these are loans. We ratify mighty loans, it goes, and then, you know, because the way some of those loans are ratified is that 60% is spent on recurrent, their expenditure, to implement them. Then the 40% goes to the beneficiary. But even the 40% that is supposed to go to the beneficiary, if you scrutinize, you end up having only maybe 20% or 10% reaching the beneficiary. So which means that those projects will not be viable. This is the cause of all our crises. Money is coming, but you know, it just
money is coming, but it just disappears. And are we able to trace where these monies are going?
That's well,
because I think that you guys have the oversight functions. That's why you have the FPAC and all the other committees who look at these these accounts or projects and look at them. That's why when the National Audit Office brings audit reports, they bring it to you. Without your approval, they cannot even publish, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, they can publish after some time.
Yeah. But it has to come through you. You guys have oversight functions. What happens if these things happen? For example, you allocate 10 million to a project and it ends up being 43. You allocate something, even though it's environment, but is there anything that the National Assembly can do?
Yes, the National Assembly has some powers. But most of the powers it's like more of recommendation. You can come up with a resolution and put pressure on government to implement certain things. But by and large, it is the responsibility of the government in place. Because if corruption is taking place, and then the Auditor General says, this is missing. This is this is going to somebody's pocket. So it is now the responsibility of the state to instruct the IG and say, investigate this, and then after investigation, when you see there are some people culpable, you take them to court. That's how this thing will be reduced. But if it's laissez-faire, it's like whatever happened, no matter whether the report comes from the National Assembly or it comes from anywhere, it's like it will come to pass. The Gambian people will talk about it, eventually they will leave that and move to another issue. So if that is the threat, then therefore the people who are engaged in this type of corruption will never stop. Because it is their way of life. They will never stop. So the National Assembly has duty to call them, ask them, raise questions, and then, write their report. Even today we have played a report, and then, a lot of criticism on that report, on the education report. But then when it goes, sometimes even the ministers don't even come and attend some of those things. We have to call them, sit them down, and then tell them, this is what is happening in your place. Now, if it is an issue of corruption, we need the goodwill of the executive to call on the IG and instruct them and say, do A, B, and C, because this and this are blatant. Then the IG will also know that now I have the backing of the leaders, and therefore I should go in and then do the right investigation. But if that is not the case, it's like the IG will feel that maybe they will, because the practice is that the president can dismiss the IG. So if the president is culpable, will the IG take any instructions?
That'll be tough.
But that is where the difficulty is.
That's where difficulty is.
Yes. See, Fatou, I think our democracy, I wouldn't say it's failing, but the way it is moving, it's not what you expect in a democracy. The National Assembly is the approving authority for all government expenditure. So if the president spends more than you allocate to him, you should call him to give explanation. If he vires, from where did he vire? Environment has limits. Because when we were there, we were almost stopping environment. We had a circle around, and there were limits.
There's a limit
and certain votes you cannot vire. Because most of the environments will go into travel. Officials want to travel, so they will take their other recurrent expenditure, or, maintenance of furniture, and just put it into travel so that they can go.
Exactly.
So we have to control this. But it all boils down to one thing. National Assembly, is it just a a toothless bulldog, you know, they just bark and then nothing, because everybody is so disappointed.
But it looked like, Honorable, that the National Assembly itself is having a piece of the cake themselves.
This is it.
It seems like that is what is happening. Because if you're causing up to government, to the executive, and they are giving you all the things that you want yourself. There are a lot of things, the reason why a lot of the citizens are upset right now is because some of the allowances and the salary structure that we see coming out of the National Assembly. I want to be honest and on record that there are a lot of National Assembly members who are opposed to some of these increments. But it is ridiculous. If the National Assembly, who was supposed to be oversight functions to hold government accountable, if they themselves are giving themselves this much.
Yes. In fact, this I said in another place, because if you say the budget, it's a national budget. The stakeholders are many. But what this particular budget entails, it's like it is owned by the executive and the legislature and the judiciary also. They also had their increase. So you forget about the other stakeholders.
The ordinary person.
The ordinary person, the poor woman at the market struggling to make ends meet. The poor farmer trying to get fertilizer, he cannot.
The student.
The students, the youths.
I see the youth. I see Minister of Youth budget.
The hospital, you know. Because even the drugs and medical supply, the budget was reduced from, I think, 311 to 200 and something. 100
million down.
Yes, when you go to hospital, you don't have drugs there. And you are reducing the medical supply, you are increasing administrative costs there. It shows lack of care, lack of really any interest in the ordinary lives of the Gambian people. It's just sharing the cake, and the National Assembly, who is representing these women folks in the market, the youths, the, how do you call it, the farmers, you know, the sick people, you know, the schools, institutions, madrasas, whatever, you know. They are the ones representing them in the sharing. They should look for the interest of this majority, because the civil service is already around 40,000, but you have over 2 million people outside. So you keep increasing 50%, 30%, so they are sharing amongst themselves the national cake, and then everybody else is out of it.
That's what I'm trying to say, that the statement of the minister, that is, we cut things down so that we can maximize some income to be able to invest and become resilient to the shocks that are coming from the outside. If that is the spirit, then therefore any undue increment will not be justified. But you are talking about the National Assembly. This comes from the National Assembly Authority.
Yes.
This is the first one. And this is what brought all the uproar. And you know, you mentioned Tuma. This is what she is mentioning. Like if you look at the speaker, it's from 658,000 as salary for a year to 1.5
million.
5 million.
That's like 130% increment.
You know, and if you look at the deputy speaker, 551
to 7.
There to 716. Then look at majority leader, you know, 540,000 to 702. Then look at minority. These are the authority. They decide the budget. They propose the budget. So when this reaches, or this is going to the Minister of Finance, and this is the permanent secretary signing. So this is the authentic document. But when it became, it was even hidden from us.
From you, the ordinary members.
Up to the time I was speaking,
up
to the time I was making my comments, this is what I had.
I saw you say, when you said something, and they said, oh no, you said, well.
When I started mentioning this, I was informed that no, it's like out of all the uproar, you know, the objections they changed it. You know, then they went and craft this one. But even this one is slightly above.
Slightly.
Because if you look here, is the speaker is now going to receive 1.2 instead of 1.5.
It's 100%.
So it's almost 100%
increment. Yeah.
The justification, they did not mention the justification, but what they told us internally is that the president is receiving 250,000 as salary per month. And therefore the vice president is receiving 150,000. And therefore the speaker is third in line. Should not be receiving the same salary with the Chief Justice. So they need to augment that. And that's why they have given the speaker also $1.2 million.
Okay, go ahead.
So if you come to the allowances also, you will see there are new allowances there, like robbing allowance.
That was never there.
Which was not there. Well, it was there in the last one. But the 2022 budget, National Assembly budget, was not discussed in Parliament.
Okay.
Now, this one, we insist that it must come. But they wanted to call us into a caucus and agree on something. Then some of us refused. And it is those of us who refuse to go there is mainly the ones who have been shouting against it. You know, because we want to shout it so that everybody hears
it.
You know, otherwise it's a collective thing. If it is done, they would say it's everybody.
Yeah.
And not everybody is a party to this.
That's what I wanted to go. How does it feel, for example, when something happens at the National Assembly? Me, the ordinary folks, we say National Assembly, I'll be able to kill it. At a layer pass. But in practical, there are some who agree to it.
It's an election.
And some who you don't have the numbers.
Yeah, it's an election.
Yeah.
And wherever the majority, even by one vote, you know, a simple majority, they win. So what the journalists should be doing is the journalists that should know. If you are in a country like the United States, you know, you put on your button, then they announce it.
Yeah.
Willie is voted no.
Yes.
It's always clear.
Yeah.
Willie is voted no or Willie is voted yes.
Actually, in our
and they
story,
keep calculating.
In our story, we did that. That's why we said, let's put it out. We said all the NPP, APRC alliance voted for this.
Yes,
the
exactly.
UDP and the PDIS caucus plus 3 national independent candidates, MPs, voted against. So people understand. It's important. People's records should be put there.
The more you do that, the more members become careful. In as much as you want to, you know, for some of these people, they think that whatever the government brings
should be approved.
You know, should be approved. Because this is what the president wants, so we must do this for him. You understand? And that's where the mistake is. You are not there representing the president. You are there representing your people, but you are also scrutinizing the president so that your people will get better life. That's why you are there.
But
you are not there for the president. You are there for the people. Yes, you come to the ticket of the president's party, but
our democracy, maybe we have not really.
We should do more civic education.
A lot of it.
These ones, I don't think, even if you educate them, 10
but
years,
the thing is, it brings back, it comes back to us, the citizens. It comes back to us, the citizens. I say this because when you vote for people, you are giving them your voice. They go to the assembly to represent you. Now, if they make those decisions, they make it on behalf of you. If people oppose, I have seen, because when I saw Thomas, I think our media house was the only one who was live streaming this. At some point, they had to stop us because they said, no, they had to regroup the National Assembly. The security guy came and closed our laptop because they needed to go and look at things properly. Now, when people are voting, it is important. But what the pattern we are seeing is all the oppositions and few independents are all voting against this because they feel it is wrong. And then you're seeing the incumbent and all their alliances are voting for it. But we, the citizens, voted for them. So at some point, we should also take part of the blame. I believe we should.
I think the citizens should engage their MPs more.
Yes.
You know, like all what is happening now, it's like nothing is there for them in the budget. If you are a farmer, you have very little in this budget. You are a youthful member, you have very little in this budget. You are, how do you call it? In the health sector, you have very little in this budget. So they should engage their MPs and insist, look, this is what we want. Not You are not sent there because when they swear, you swear to serve the Gambian people.
Exactly.
It's not like you swear to serve the president or the government. No. But what we have seen is whether it's lack of understanding, level of perception of what political life is about, you know, all they want to do is we want to align ourselves with the president and the government because that's the government to be.
Exactly.
So you empower them, and this is how we enable, you know, government to become really, I wouldn't say dictators and, you know, corrupt governments, you know, doing everything against the will of the people.
Exactly.
You know, these are the kind of MPs that we, you know, they are not serving the purpose. The National Assembly is a different arm of the government. And they should oversee, scrutinize the executive. You are given powers to approve all their expenditure. But instead, no, you want to align yourself with whatever they do. So you have lost that, how would I say, credibility of being an oversight on this government. This assembly, unfortunately, that's what it's turned out to be. And I must thank, as you said, the opposition members who voted against this this budget because they stood for the
I think it's
public,
important we put, that's why we are here realizing some of them. It's important we put out some of these things. Because, I mean, last night I kept on watching and I had to cut Honorable Touray's portion and Mahdi and all these videos to put people, for them to know. Look, these people have said what they have to say. They stood up against it and they made their positions known. The Gambians should also know that. But I wanted to come to another department, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Ministry of Foreign Affairs, 1 billion. More than Minister of Youth. More than Minister Agriculture. 1 billion. And what we have seen is the addition of three new embassies. Why do we need 3 new embassies? During COVID, 2 years, there was not much traveling. Countries prosper. For the past how many years, the Gambia haven't had an embassy in Germany. We were under the EU, and everything has been working. We only had 1 embassy at Belgium that was serving all of those areas. Now, why do we need extra 3 embassies? This is where a chunk of our money goes. When you have diplomats in the foreign embassies, they are entitled to go with their entire family. And they go with these families. You have to pay them because they are government workers. You take them there. So at this point, and they pay their school fees, they are feeding, their everything. At this point, accommodation, at this point where we are struggling, every economy in the world is struggling, including America, UK, and Europe. Now, we are a developing country. We don't have the resources. Why do we have to add extra embassies? What was the justification for that?
Well, the justification that was given is that you have a sizable number of Gambians in Germany. And therefore, Germany needs to graduate to an embassy instead of a council. Then you have in Sweden also a sizable number. Now, the third country was, I don't know, Denmark.
Japan.
Japan. And Japan, what I heard them mention, Japan. Yes, the Gambians are not many in Japan, but what they mentioned about Japan was the aid, the support that Japan continues to give to Gambia. Whether that justifies establishing an embassy or not is another question. The question is whether, because that is putting the country at a trajectory of begging, of dependency. To say that a country A, is supporting us, so let's go and establish our embassy there. The embassy is supposed to serve Gambians that are there. That is their main duty there. I can understand when they say Germany, maybe, what I told them is to prioritize. If we prioritize, we may see that maybe we are in another country where we are not supposed to be, we can transfer that to Germany. Because when Sanneh was the finance minister, at that time, what we were clamoring was to reduce the embassies. They call them downsizing. So everybody was talking downsizing. All of a sudden, we are told now we are going to increase 3. And we were all very surprised by that. Because adding 3 embassies to the existing embassies is really going to take, a bigger chunk. Like you said, now it's 1.something billion that is going into. And the funny thing also is, this just came out of a blue. It was not even in the estimates.
It was not in the estimates?
No, it was not there. It was mentioned, but it was not planned. Which means that, how it came about, it was just abroad. And what we have allocated, we have to struggle to cut other places to allocate this 40-something million for the establishment of this. But can even 43 or 44 million, establish these 3 embassies? You know that is not possible. So we'll have to look for more money somewhere to be able to establish embassies. So it's like you are borrowing just for spending, but you are not putting it into productive base. And the more we continue with that, what he said is eventually going to happen. We'll have 100% of our debt to GDP ratio. That's what is going to happen to us. And once that happens to us, it means that we are dead. So these embassies, the reason that actually prop them is not clear. It's not clear because the amount allocated to do that is not sufficient. It's not sufficient, and we could have added, but we could not add because if we would go out of the threshold that was established for the budget. It must balance. It must balance. If you take from here, you must put equally there. You cannot take, you cannot ask for more when you are not quoting from the same amount from the other area.
Yes, but so that was our it still hasn't balanced.
It has not balanced.
Your expenditure is more than what your income, so you are still going to borrow.
You are still going to
balance.
Yes, so it's not balanced.
The borrowing makes it balanced.
Yeah, exactly.
But with the embassies, when we were there, because of the difficult economic situation, we and our development partners in our program, we agreed to cut down on number of embassies.
Exactly.
Coming along the coast, let's say from Sierra Leone, we have one, Guinea-Bissau, you come to Senegal, you go to Mauritania, you go to Morocco, and then have, I think Algeria is now closed, is it?
I think Algeria is closed.
Yes, and then Algeria.
But I think it's closed.
But look at all this chain along this small coast. But you will have the German ambassador coming from Dakar to present the letters of credence
here.
And they are serving
the entire
so many
region,
countries within the sub-region. And these are the people who are giving you grants. They know how to manage their representation.
Exactly.
But we are opening everywhere.
A small country. Poor country.
And we don't have the resources. So we're talking about borrowing to finance that. That's why I'm saying your budget lacks focus. It lacks any meaningful representation of the aspirations of the Gambian people.
Exactly.
It has no development component. It's all expenditure, and money you don't have.
Exactly.
So this is really taking the country down. And with all this borrowing, what it will do, T-bill rates will start going up. Seeing that they had to increase the policy rate from 10 to 12%. 12%. But still, the inflation rate is above. It's 13.3%. So what that means is investors, when they come in, they see that, inflation is more than this policy rate. So it becomes negative investment. That means you are losing money. They will not bring their money into this country like that. So your policy rate has to go above the inflation
But in
rate.
fact, Honorable, the inflation rate of 13.3 is what they call the headline inflation. But that's what I was arguing there. This is headline inflation. Core inflation is likely to be far higher.
Yes. When it comes to prices, I agree, far more. But because these statisticians, they put a number of commodities in the basket and average. Some will be 50%. Some will be 15. So the average is what is 13.3%.
It's about 13.
But a lot of the products we know here
Yeah.
are far above 50%. Some are 100% already.
Yeah, exactly.
So really the budget does not make sense for the Gambian people. And you as National Assembly, what you could have done for the Gambian people was to throw it out completely.
Why?
We've seen the U.S., one of the biggest democracies. They blocked the budget, is it Obama? For how many months? Their civil servants, some of them did not receive salary.
Government shutdown,
Some we are not going to work. It is shut down.
But what is afflicting us,
but
if you observe, what is afflicting us is afflicting big democracies like the United States. If you look at the United States Congress, the amount of billions they have given to Ukraine, without any big argument in the House.
Because they have the numbers.
But now that the Republicans are taking even if it is by one vote, they now have leverage to say no. You know, all this is not going. We are going to limit it or we are going to stop it. But before, whatever the government have agreed, that's what the House.
But you see,
so, but
you see
with some consideration,
the government, Biden, I think, is their inflationary act. So they put so many billions into agriculture.
Exactly. Exactly.
This is an advanced economy.
And they pumped a lot of money to
so
much money in the agriculture and even in the people.
Areas. You know, mortgages and so on to help make
renters
life better for their citizens.
And they give direct money to cash to people.
And here, what are we doing? Instead, we are paying the National Assembly 100,000 clothing allowance. So we are electing people who don't have.
One thing that was stuck out for me at the Assembly, a lot of things were increased, right? But when it comes to the what do you call it? Constituency.
Yes,
allowances. That did not even move an inch because that goes directly to the people.
Well,
that did not
it's
move.
Supposed to go directly to the people.
It's supposed to go to the people.
How many?
No, the constituency allowance.
Was it increased?
It's increased from 15 million to 22 million.
From 15 to 22 million.
Yes, there is an adjustment there because if they don't do this adjustment, there's going to be a lot of outcry.
Okay.
So at least this one is increased. They know where to.
Already there's an outcry.
But even when people even when we made noise and all the stuff, and you guys went back into caucus to look at the numbers, most of the things that were cut is from the furnitures and others. The allowances hardly. Was touched.
No, the allowances. That's what I was telling them. That if you increase salary, like they are trying to do, and you increase allowances, they become statutory. And statutory means that you must pay them. Like he said in his beginning of his introduction, is that, you know, if you have all this recurrent expenditure, salaries and allowances, even if the government is going to borrow, they must go and borrow and pay. That's why the treasury bills are there. The central bank is using treasury bill to borrow for government to be able to pay salaries. You are supposed to borrow money for government to go into investment, into production. But then they are borrowing money from the central bank through treasury bills. And then the policy rate is going, he said it, it's 12%. It's going to 12%. It will eventually go to 20%. So that, you know, because they need money to be able to do all these things. So they have to borrow money through the central bank, you know, to be able to do that. So salaries and allowances, once you increase them, you cannot, like I was telling them, if you have, for example, you say, we are going to do this building, and it is costed, it's in the budget, you can forgo that. The finance minister can say, no, you know, the way things are going, we cannot do this. Let's forgo this. Let's close our eyes to it. But you cannot close your eyes to people's salary.
No, you cannot,
You know, that is the problem. And that's why we must control these salaries and control the allowances as much as possible. Yes, we know people, they want to follow the inflation. They are thinking about only themselves, but they are forgetting about, like he's mentioning, the ordinary farmer. The ordinary, you know,
market woman,
person who is pushing the push, you know, the wheelbarrow, the market woman, etc., etc. We are forgetting all that if we increase salaries, because those people are not receiving salaries. That is the situation.
I think part of the main thing there is the economic policy is going the wrong direction.
It's going the wrong direction.
Because to fight inflation, what countries are doing is to increase the the borrowing rate.
Yeah, exactly.
To reduce expenditure.
Exactly.
But first, the government is the first culprit. That is increasing expenditure.
Yeah.
So if you increase the policy rate again above 13%, say to 15%,
exactly.
It is reversing all the gains that we had when we reduce it from 20, or is it 22 or 25% to is it 12% or 10%?
Yeah.
Then interest rates came down from around 28 or so.
Yes, I could remember.
We brought it down up to 8% on treasury bills.
Yes.
That's how to fight the contractual measures we were taking.
Yes. Yeah.
So imagine the savings on 50 billion loan when you have reduced the interest rate by more than 10%. Sometimes 15%. You save millions and millions.
Exactly.
But now you have to pay millions and millions more to pay for these debts.
Yeah. Because
so
if you look at this,
you end up
see
and if you,
that the government is coming with a statement that this is what we want to do. We want to cut down on expenditure.
But it's not reflecting on the estimates.
When they go to bilateral, the minister goes to bilateral with the FPAC.
Yeah.
And they come up with these suggestions. More expenditure. More expenditure, even for the president's office.
Yeah.
So where is the spirit?
But that's what I'm saying. There's no
the spirit is not
there's
there.
no direction.
So it's just words.
It's no
I see some things that really, I don't know. I'm not an expert in these things. I don't know any of these things. But I see at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, consultancy for Africa, consultancy for Asia, consultancy for... What consultancy are we talking about? Don't we have representatives at these embassies?
I don't know what consultancy is. It's just expenditure. We don't know what value that would bring.
If you want to build an embassy, they say they have to go and do consultancy. You're asking for justification.
Yeah.
Now we allocate and then they go and look for justification. It's looking for the justification first until you establish the justification. You know that this is viable. Then you come to Parliament and say allocate. But if you say allocate, then we go and look for consultancy.
I think that's the bottom line. They're just putting money there to spend.
Yeah.
There is no rationale.
No rationale.
Not economic rationale.
I cannot explain
no socio-economic rationale to put those kinds of consultancy expenditures. It's outrageous.
How far can we...
And you just put 282 million in agriculture. That's where 75% of the population are working and toiling to make a living. And the small trading business.
Even look at education. Look at Ministry of Health. We are complaining about not having enough drugs at a hospital. That has been sliced.
Down drugs
almost 100 million.
100 million.
You know, for education, what is there? The 3 billion that you see on the education is just for PE, personal emolument, and allowance, those type of things.
Apart from that.
And operational cost.
That's all.
No development is there. Because the only development that is taking place in schools, building schools and building quarters and all this, is done by NGOs. It's the MRC Holland. Now, instead of allocating for government itself to go and do some of these buildings, they leave everything to an NGO to do that. And you know that is not sufficient. And that is what is happening now.
Just shows lack of commitment.
It's NGO, MRC, Holland, which is building schools, which is renovating schools. The government has abdicated its responsibility from that. So these 3 million for basic and secondary schools is just for operational costs and salaries and salaries. So there is, you don't expect much improvement. We just laid the report of the committee on education. They went around the whole country and they see that in some schools there is no water. In some schools, they build it, schools that are built since the 1990s. No fence. No fencing is done there, no water, no electricity. And we've ratified loans, which should have electrified all these schools. I think maybe it's Honorable's time or is...
During my time, we had agreement with the World Bank.
Yes.
All the schools, the health facilities...
Yes, but the money just disappears and you don't see the work.
All of them.
So really, it's not a government. If the government is serious...
That with the World Bank. They were supposed to implement.
Exactly.
But you don't see things happening.
So
that's... And with the donors, when they see your direction, how you managing your economy,
Yeah.
if they don't have confidence,
Yeah.
they hold back.
Of course they hold
That's why you are getting 30% of your grant
Of the
component,
grants, of the
and
grants.
you're expecting 14 point something billion.
Exactly.
But you just get 30%.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
So a meager 30%.
Yeah.
With all the budget you explain, we'll get so much and we'll spend so much. Nothing is coming.
And you know the worst thing is, Honorable, is that the ministries, when you have bilateral with them, they tell you frankly, look, we are doing all this talking here, you and us, we spend hours working on this budget. But the reality is, after we have left here, when we approach the minister to get disbursement, some of them they have a disbursement rate of only 35%. It's like if 100 million is allocated for you, you end up having 35,000 for the whole year. That's the example. So if you have 100 million, you have 35 million. You understand? So some will have 200 million under them, they end up receiving, 110. So which means that what we are trying to tell them, let's make a budget. We all know that it's an estimate. A budget is an estimate. But let's make it as reasonable as possible and closer to attaining. But if you inflate it, you are just raising eyebrows, you are raising ambitions that are not going to be achieved.
I want to look at the last ministry before we look at generally close. That is the Ministry of Works and Transport. I'm looking at all the road projects. One thing that caught my eye is the OIC Oban roads. Why is it factored in the budget? Is the OIC not? Don't we get the money
from
the donors?
Yeah, you have.
Why are we paying for it? Is it not? Is OIC not its own entity where they have money for these projects? Is it different?
No, the OIC. Yes, it's a project, but we are taking loans from different countries. To be able to fund the OIC. And therefore, the money that we are looking for is just what the government put. They are operational. That's what they give them. But the development budget, that's where the loans go to. You understand? The development budget. That's where the loans go to. Yes. So if we check the estimates, you will see on the development, you will see the amount that is going into OIC. But let me tell you offhand that what we expect to put on the OIC, is 4 billion to do this road from
4 billion.
From the airport there to go to Sitting Corner. It's supposed to cost us 4 billion. What we have borrowed so far is about 2.8. So we still need to borrow more money to be able to meet the 4 billion to complete. But when the president said he is not satisfied with this, there was a short halt until we had to come and ratify another law. So, but that ratification has to continue until we get the 4 billion. So now it remains to be seen whether that 4 billion will actually complete the work or it will not complete the work, depending on other issues. The economy is not.
We are already dealing with the Banjul project here. I still see that we are still paying for that.
Yes.
This budget is reflected almost 211 million that we are supposed to pay. This
the Banjul Road project is worse because that was a very terrible type of making arrangements. Because what they have done, is to tell the contractor do the work
to pre-finance.
And then tell us how much.
And bill us as you go.
Do the work and tell us how much you spend there. Instead of discussing and say, until we agree, this is the cost of the road. If it is good for us, we go into it. If it is not good, we say no. We say no, it's pre-financing. You finance and tell us how much you put there, including your interest. Then we will.
And so far it has increased from 35 to 37.
It will increase. Because it's not paid in one day. You have to keep on paying.
They have another component that they are doing. But it's all messed up procurement. Because if you look at this, it's only concrete.
It's only concrete.
The sewage is still, no upgrade. The old sewage system is the same thing that is
It's the same.
Then if you think the water pipes and so on, I don't think anything has changed. So let's say this was cooked and implemented without regard to the laws, the procurement laws of the country, you know, the Finance Act, and so it was just done like that. And if it's supposed to be pre-financing, the contractors would have spent everything on all the costs. And then we
pay in in
but
5 years. That was the agreement.
But instead, from the first year, I think you know they were paid. They were paid because they couldn't go. Then so every budget now you have to put in money for them to complete. So it has not gone the way it was planned.
No, not at all.
And the cost, actually, works would have known. They would have discussed with the contractor on the cost. Maybe they did not make it public, but they would have agreed on the cost before they start. Because you cannot give a blank check to a contractor and say, work and we will
bill us
pay.
as we go.
No. So they know what they had agreed. Now they are coming with supplementary to add to what was there. And what has it done to
the people of Banjul?
Yes, you have good roads,
but
it's not the investment. And you flooded also
this national this rainy season
because the sewage is inadequate. They have not made proper drainage and no proper pumping machines. You know, so it's a project. We can say it's a nightmare for the small taxpayer, the ordinary man who has to pay for all this.
Exactly.
You go to the Hakalan, they put another 200 and something million.
I see Hakalang 260 something.
The Kiang, another 200 and 100 on something.
Hakalang is 260.
Yes.
The Kiang phase 1 is 51, phase 2 is 115, and you know all of that.
You see, in their economic policy,
almost 2 billion for the Ministry of Works alone.
In that economic policy, you try to impress on the people, we are doing development. Save the quality of these projects, these roads, I'm really not happy. You know, especially the one for, I always mention it as an example, Jambur to Farad. Very poor quality. And they were supposed to hand that over. You had potholes everywhere before it was even handed over. So you don't borrow from treasury bills at this high interest rate.
Just to
finance infrastructure projects. You have plans to borrow from development financing institutions. They give you 10 years grace period and very low interest rates. Some as low as 1%.
That's manageable.
2%. And repayment periods 20 years, some 30 to 40 years. This is how you build your infrastructure. And the ports were supposed to be built because we were floating it for the private sector. Bolore was interested, Dubai Ports was interested, another one on the Turo level from Philippines, they were interested. And they were going to spend their own money to do all the expansion projects and equip it with all the ports equipment that is required. And we signed a management contract. After a period, they will recover their costs and they hand it over. But this government refused. Said, no, we are going to borrow loan from China. And up to today, how many years? 6, 7 years, the port is going down, it's going down. We are losing a lot of revenue. We are having a lot of difficulties for the business people. You know, they have to bring their goods overland from Dhaka. So you are damaging your economic strength. The port was one of the valuable assets of this country. But now it's just going down the drain. Nothing has been done. So this budget is not doing anything for development. It's all expenditure and wasteful expenditure. Things we should not have done.
And I want us to say this briefly in the local language because a lot of people, my grandmother always say, Alkadiamu,
she's right.
And they are the one, they are so much interested in this. Yesterday she kept telling, you know, they hear this in the radios. And I kept on explaining to her how some of the MPs voted against it, but they don't have the numbers. So you might understand. Akuma tanga for badingol minanko local language fanana. Nim budget o mialonko abe deputy bungoto, deputy lia jube ite former finance minister. You have an idea budget o kadida nyadile. Nim budget o abe mune kenola bankoe na pasta abe nyamin tenti.
Kai Fatou kafo badi la moirla le dal nyim budgeto abe banko jindi la dumal même bije budgeto mu banko bele tati bar nyil yake nyamen ya tale ya talanta la fanal tema yela dapansol kafu nyinata senelala nyinata funding ke wala nyinata lopitano la and nyinata mola safa nyade industry nyola dawoda yewol betu koma ya bekel da pansoti ya talay fankoto na dipitewol mel nyanta lola do balie senelalie ni marché to musole wolle folo yem fel nyaadi etelia kuntu ye jama jurume fankoto e doldi man sakundala e nyinata tella e man kese ke senelalie e man kese ke funding kewle karambul fanang may bondi alhalo mento no jata kende abunda borol me nyanta nati life yotala by million kemela so ntelbe kumbola ko nyimbori kurungul melbina man sakunda nyanta funds kala jeleno ye borol nati from reputable medical suppliers yembam ko mol fasa ye mol jata kende tankan bari mawke instead e ka kuntule so ni tata l'hôpital to be ko boretije kana jahal ela député le man sonna kala je itelle nyanta approve la ya fengal kije bari nyimman sakunda e menati dorom itel kaso walla an nyin jumatamila mbandina bantan tata l'hôpital fure bongto pourquoi ku jio mantareje itata satol kapokitol samaka jio nati l'hôpital banjul main referral hospital jio tije jio te fure bongto musudobe kumbola be wurla faka foy you know atel mankati police al nang arrest fang alen samba nga fan ding membe farne ni weta nyola muneketa ya bula jël frew ñem fa toleta foy la frisel le man fenke no famuna wuli accident soto yew frew nati ite ma preserve no fo toleta o muso neyaje kumbol eno juso katawe so ñine bentel bulu lopitanoti ila kuma balbe kuma kensem folbe ya ila tanente e mela responsibility ta itel jama bi je nyante foñolal biri yenyi mo taworo wala ya nyitande ko fata e salon ko dol mela do ko ka nyama bari mo be borta han fo sidin dele ka fo nyanta nyil apologize lel donc kuma filiring mo kum filiring moma wolo nyen dunia kono mo mela responsibility kare ade ko nyanta o congratulate lel wali akatal yemune kata kamo taworo wala nim femfa so na budgeto amanna telede mbamañol ndo firlal melbe marsew ñilia be talay fankotole députéol melbe opposition doy UDP ñolno aning independent candidate mo
janjambure busumbala ning janjambure busumbala ning who was the third one? Banjul South. The two Fonies did not vote. Bakari Baji and...
Banjul South did not vote because she left early.
She left early. Okay, yes. Tuma, yes, she left early.
Yeah. So, Ibaje la wulle lota ko nyim manke budget tilindingti nyanta nyim bailale nyim manyana kela. Bari president la députéol ane nying independent melie fanke ko etelwe president le sembentu yala wolle ya pass ani ala nominated mol wol mal la Gambia nya soto imate la hajo long yendi ate be wole kala nyimman sakunda be tane atari ye tilimbali aleke etel ba fole la ha betata so alman député ol soto alla ha soto membe lo lali o balafa warta Gambia no nalbita la carte fayola al nyantal hakilo ta mandilale al kana lunkili nafa jubeje al kana jube nyimmu kareleti nyimbota na satawol to nyimmu mbadinglete o nyimmun na kanglete na siyolete wo be manna politico momenti pour yela do koke yalla balo sono yande yurwaye soto banko kan so bari nalni ñi mosi fal nati mel yalon ko wolbe president dorne fasa hani president li al bali jambandole safa ya beteata ya al bali boro lay safa beteata hein so wol nafale na député bunkon tous so musafo doro mbaden kamoy lal ñimmu bala fa koleti banko e mbita kanko male doron ñin difficile ñin kodol me ba don to ka be kafukan na be kafukan ado atelle binajola al dingla al mamarengal wol be we terla ñin joro ko mel so wala ken ne politico e ka fon datije womo ntamira womo faham baliyalti politico le ke la jata ken da tamandi ila karambon ila seno bundala ila baluo business all politico ya belma ila baluo fanna be so al nyanta wullala alla dipitewol alete noma aleto nya foy ko imam kubete bara so ko ni independent be damen anil ya ni alla ni NPP dipitewol imam kubete bara gambe ye banko sayndi ko male na economy be say kan ko male nambaro doro bare ne lu menna ela man boto tata wulli fula kemelul e balon na le be do ko menna adum be wala silo ka
atambita wala fa honorable I mean for jam tonya ngalon ne ko député dole faile kanyin budget oppose bara ko mayata ngafu mo le faro kita ko dolla wal ko mayata ngaje ko ite fongole diamo kunu ngatandi ngabondi Kerr Fatou dami ngi ba fo ko munatina advisors pour président nga lafa woman among reasonable the situation o min kono na inflation is 13.3 B is the highest in the sub-region America nyol dolbe 8.2 le banko dol around and dolbe 13.3 na julomi ben kangola tata ko bi 88 billion wala julobe ben kangola mi an ko hanim mamarengol ta banna jola ni bota woto président la budgeto pour ala office ala fatale ñina katambi seru mimbije katu e modol nata ala office to bota woto fanan mid the people to serum kabri nata pour ka ala fa be million worole e ko pour ka ala fa alko hani wato le siata nunji al balantano bari ñinan aseletal ko te kata million tang wonin ku dolu different areas solto atol fango la député la office yaaje ko ku jamal la fata dol ko fang député fango lata man sakunda kan ne ka kek ni mi alon ko pour Gambia no lom ka tala ite fango wo kumo ya a jalay bake ka fo mole ko ntolbe do ko la mole jam manya nam fanjola ka tambiw minya tala wol kon pour ni area sabol dron ka president la office mid the people to anin député la area pour ya senendi mole munebe budget ko no wo area
ya ni president la budget o jibe akafuta min kafuta je nyina akamun ko million moins anin fula den birin yini tata inen dibitel diamu ta kota ke million moins na ta kafuje kota ke saka mun ko million tan nani anin nani bol kafuta serun na budgeto président da man bunda
44
so ngam men bo wala ni atari man so bunda men be kering wala silo wala wala ko lefta ngana bayo kuntu comme na say sorti wala o fa alinga na domoro tala pour ñi ka man ci ko do sotuno mi yalon kon sinam wol ma koy no wala nyala ka yirwa nati banko par cela ni wala nyaaton ko fon président wala wo bunda ino o ka kodo ñi ka membe kele domoro ti tuno yalon ko silan waya tan la ko ibi ñim fo ke dalal tuno bari amantari sondo moto plan jang comme ya fu ñamen birin sana bi je ngafalen ko wotumo million moins wala be président wala wotumo ya jemela wato million moins wala be je de nata nga wo bondi million moins nga nata million tang nata bondi million tang ko de nga nata million wor ñi santam bila sa ila pata ka wala kafu iko président e men domo e ala tamo ko na ñi tamo bambalo me aka ke bolon ko wato ay ko do men spend ata dala fo million tan nani ani million saba del nga million nan lul wor le landay
barate tan nan
barate million tan nani anin saba
ay wol dom
ate wala dom so del be kelo ke gam pour wala tala nga bondi million tan nga bondi million yalo nga bondi million tan nga nati million wor say tel ya mburundi million tan ni bayra diate bulu nyina jari fane ba kapula ko ga fu million tan nilu say be murla ko ke mbota dane be murla kan jele ko tek ya famle o mu ku do ne me yalo ngo fane tinyal ko ne million mo ka jutu million la bar ne million bisa kam ne million nani ha isi jikendo di sate din tanna bolonkon men yalo ko jite bul fereng ibe poto jele minka isi bo holo siye e tanko kije sato besi jiyo min sate tan million nani si jiyo di wala ka dum dela banko kan defan e bo holo si mo me yalo ko hani million wuli keme sabadro nka jiyo di saten dingu dol so saten dingu bi je me yalo ko inila nin sol be barakari bari woni solu tilikan do mumeo ibuka steno je ka tu fayna fu nyamina inila nin sol dangini je ka tu jiyo buka soto sa ni tata nyi million nano be jitu la bar ni nyi million nano men bondi president la fankol jannabi tan la yaay 15 wala ay o million nano na wo samba sa to ko bo holo kije mi yalo ko mol be mina jiken wala nin sol fana be mina ni be am potam e bagile ko yirwa bina o sa to fana wala fana soto be kafla be am malayan wala karol wala nyanda kala bar kujama bije me yalon ko min sane afu nyami bojeto ni atala sidla kemete alon ko almost tan sawo be o mu domorol sidro be motole sanna wala be essence le sanna wala be na motole de dala wala be silole ripeala wala be na jolom wala na avansolom wala be television na office auto ku sifalle bije abem wolati tan say ni say man sa fo bem wolati so abo moindron wala bi je men sa fo men ko membe dunna yiri wala kunyato membe dunna fertilizer kunyato impact fertilizer man budget nito bari ministre le promiso di don ka be diamo menna ajigida ko be fertilizer be ko do so la mi alon ko be senlal ma ko le fertilizer bari janni bo kila budgeto felenda nat
so kan budgeto ko no wotije
sai num ko di talawato
ha
ka banko la na flota ka tala pour besi ifanje banko la
ko senelal fertilizer wo man tra nyi
ni lafta senelal ilafta ifane ifanje nyi fonko tie wa fo felasita treto nata del ka fo le treto ni moli ele tio si ka samba ankare ka wafi sai ni nyanta wala fonkoji baro man kaf omu 12000 iko e bola dila senelal 12000 pour tono
président toko na ko nyinan abe tono kela 32000 wuli tan sabanin fu
okay 32000
ay wol fo toko
yo okay
wala budget to fo
ani wote nyim budget to ko kum wolete comme ngam fo kumo dol ka fo meeting dula o man tari budget to ko na be jamba fele afelen da be felen so mbem fo kan wolo mu comme insane ya fo nyame ni budget to jibe abko ikamena bureaucrats men yalon ko be man sukunda do ko men me yalon ko be kar do ko la man sukunda ul be ni o soto je bar senelal man ni o soto je fo marché to musol men ni o soto je fo men ka wilbaro samba ul fana men ni o soto je fo so akamun ko kodo do mota abe banna o ko lamina tala julo tala koteke julo me yalon ko cadre development budget samba la fo 34 billion tan saba anin nan so barinte la retreat nga analysis ke to men ngaji ko ninna espato ngaji ko do men si sotono mol bulu na mola karol omu billion tan ani woro wala si sotono nga kato ke nyaawo nyande tambino la wala so ne billion tan woro tan ni woro yo bondi billion tan saba ani nani to
billion mo danaka wala to
danaka billion mo o bebe kala julol mbida julol ni na pour ka wonati
to kam dan na
julo nati aka mun ko funula bolle kan tumo tuma ne julota yalon ko interest kala kan ne julota lu même fa ya sinya o lu fa le ka ka joro do damuta ka mine service charge ya jel isa fo ko do sa fo 2% do sa fo 1% e julo mental so wala ka kafu nyom wala kin nyina julo men jola banko bantalan kolma julo man din tiol habita fo 5 billion lu
julo dama
wala be bolana billion tan ni woro kono ay ke julo joti so ni nan ar man sukunda do kula la jol ni la ala sol fa bondi million woro ni o ka fo billion lulma billion tan nim fula ne billion tan nim fula bondi million woro
tani woro ko
nani da sira ni tablo ni essential ni fongo ato sila so wala ken da ko fonga ta julo ta ko take pour ñin ka maka wolti man so which means ni te la dimbaya ika misal kam ika dalsi taneke dalsi keme fulala ke ndawaloti sayin yela domoro kafu ya itata julo ta ya ika kafu ika ke keme nanti adi la soto mam futa keme nanoma so keme fula do me ika don le soto mam futa mem ni te fata sini yela dimbayal men betu la koma ibe bumen kono ibe nawo bumule tale bulu kadi ba fale al fama julol tu o kake mo la ja wala ba ke kan sai so ndel be ni julu ba men beta kan mba joro fayndi kan go dol mu sanji tan saba nyaato inyanto julo jola dol bi je mo ni lulu nyaato inyanto dol bi je sanji tan saba ni lulu nyaato inyanto julo jola so bi ni hano silol men de data kata bolongo nani fonkol wol be mu julol let men yalon ko sanji tan saba nyaato le nyanta jola so ni ma hakilo to nga julu ta tala fon le nafulo menti nga woka fu nyoma nga ku kendo ke wala nga sobe ya muta nga wol samba la kendo to pour nyinga maye yirwa ibage la sinin na meta na banko be fala adun banko na fata wala mi ndiko do bali wala fata ka to wol buga ni jitu lasu
foyte ka nyimi beji ten National Assembly député be ma nyinjer nyaale je ko to nyato nyankan ko tilin dame
ana député be ma waje député be ma waje ka to député mbak nga fo député dol bije men ya longo wol na dun politique to wol dol mu tijalti dol mu agriculture do kulati be le civil service la nel man dun politique to ima economics lo ima nyin ko lo sa ngi tata don coming opportunity nata ila constituency to mol ko he malafi kar la linga kar londi ya londi wala président le Carlo ndi woto ninga moto mbo memu lol ke mi raw nyale ninga président la moto mbo don président be yirba nat la nyel bad ninga fay opposition le wonta yirba nat itel ka je wanyal so ye nyim mo dol tombo ye nat je wol fa dol yaje ko mo me yalon goy de bana yalon goy le salary mu 3000 sa ina take dividend ina da je koy ka 25,000 soto wala 40,000 yalon go silan ni manke moti me yalon ka e faha mo soto ko be nyina la o be ngena la mo le la bitalla te bajele ko président wala londi wala dinan gagneta wala ken di nyanta wala fasala ati bugaje ko nyanta la mo le fasala banko mo la nyanta le fasala wala nyim problème o be nati no de kulikete nyim boje toto wala mo manyana sonna wala ba ni ministre fon ya kankula ko nyim dépense wala ham mom men di wala mi ko nganna do moro tala pour ñing kam si mabono pour ñing kam nga dundi banko wala fanko bundato pour ñing kam fanko bunda itañato ni ministère fangale yo sade te nyala itale do ko nyande kala min wala min fo fe na man jare yo be kuntu yata ya samba yiri wala dulato anyande kala nyala aduna ta di yiri wala dulato abe bango musol nafa abe gadini musol nafa bigo ni yiri wala bunda ka fay ko gadino le yiri wata bolon kon wol kamen do ku no nata marseto jende jaayol fa ba wa fila min na dabe jilal même fa mu consommer même fanka sanka samba so gono fa ba sulla da sono yaro ispaji ko abe mobe muralal barning abe do mata karkili e baji la fem manda bolon kono yiriwa manna fonga da vegetable ko ma hanifu Senegal ka nati jando yalo dati dial ni wado si danga da sajil kam Senegal nga nati o fana dati dial so wala gendi fengol da man dia wala nyin ko la be nati
so mo nyanta munekela muna yatina kumaya ta pour que député kendo tombon e kana pati kujube kana fuko mbe nyine jube la muna yatina kumaya ta atinga kumata badingol ye wolon katu nyillun karle biñol lungole yatina nka député tombon muna yatina kumaya ta ka député kendo tombon
o be data comme ni ngami salo dila ni budgeto mu billion mois anim fula wala mu nse ko do men tano nyobulu na mo la karola na dundi je ni député kendo samba député bunto ibe o billion mois anim fulal jube o nyanta talala banko kan nyame pour nyin kama banko dingul be dawada hani mu lanjur toti ibe mi o jela boje toto ni jim buko yele nyanta jela je ka fu lanjur tolu nyin nangam le nyanta lanjur tolu ya nyina men yalon ko comme ite doku keno le fanye te koku keno le fanye ile nafa iba jela fonko abebe tan la calculer Sénégal be niyo jela je nafa mi nyanta sot la boje toto iba jela je iba hay maro jela je ñe mutalali ibe niyo jela je ya faamuli marché do kulali ibe ni o jeleje men be pousse fonko la bil barol pousse kan marché ibe ni o jeleje momo ibe banko kan ibe be ni o jeleje so député kendo nafa molti ati président la nafa jubela président la fitanyine la ato jubela président man la finyina ato fanan jubela ati ba jubela munom banko mo la nafati bay wole tam banko di wole tam banko la nafulo fanan dimbe men ko mo foka munom mo la nafati ka président wo yalla nafa sotle na fo ni jang angale kan ko président wuli keme fula ani wuli tallulu kari o kari akole soto salary alawan so bita fo wuli keme saba o man da fo wuli keme lulu wuli tallulu nyo kari o kari yalla waya ni o sotle so ibe mun kele la way islam way men soto islam ngamero nyanta kanya bar han sai ko be kelo ke kam pu e kar ko do soto kala nyinka men ni nyinde kele ngamira mo nyande mira men islam président ya ni o sotle nde député ni o sotle ministre ye ni o sotle sai Sénégal men be jana marché kono musol men be wa firo la jana jende jawol wol ni o nyande kele munet ita dula jamaatu Fatou ya jube ko nyina muneketa sukuta ngamira men ngede suude ko musol ka firo ke blandi men to na to famu mo be
ya ko ya beti
bir yo muta wala man fir blaso ni adari man so bunda kendolo mbe ala mbe bojeto de dala jang ngata bali mute ni sukuta dula do hanne adari be kodda tanni sanna modibul ya sam modibul bojetoto ya fu musoli na jelo ya fu musoli ko al na jang yika Allah marché sa ka to ngada me muta Allah o mo nyine di badna ta nyin dula do di Allah ateli na jang banko ka do ko nyaare sadi ko mo be ko kula banko kan isini yo soto bar ning banko samba ko mi be man sakunda do ko don wala be allowance soto allowance bal suuta kare wala foye ngoy ko sawosa ni nata janto isa fo alinga na allowance kaf sawosa ni nata jang alinga na salary kaf ngoy ninga woke ibagele ko salary ni membe kala wala mo do salary ni adu ni salary kaf do akake do ala kake adu ni loi ko ni nyande kala do ibugo bayino na adre gombe sira le sana office oye iso bayino ba ni ko nga salary londi moye na be do ko lay to bayino so woto jan nimbe salary kafula kafula ani allowance sol alinga cross kende mbe muneke kan because ni ya tambindi nyadoma banko na fulo bebe labanna kala salary ni allowance solti so bagele ko koteta ko kuto mo na fa supplement adu wala mbe nyati linkan wala sana ya fujanne nim futa 100% abandale
Honorable, ning continue to tenting watu banta ning continue to think as a country me laban na minto natran continue inflation rate 13.3 banko kan bi ntol mi mang accounting ning kudol kalang economics long nyindol ntol bu ko long ntol ngami long tulo bi bidongo wuli fula sukuro mano boto wuli fula nin feng mani boto wuli fula nin feng jabobe keme woro pompitero be nying ntol ngole long keke poto we wul dala setan nin jelu bi ntol ordinary citizen ntol ngole long nin nying ko min bebe kering budgeto kono ten julol be selekan albe de karanal be kodo tala julol tala bankol to private fengol bebe selela ntol ordinary folks nyimbe mbatandi no la na baluwo kono nyaadi
ay baluwo fanna bele affect ñing budgeto ay même firin wolondoro malo be taram bulo e ma soto malo be tala nyame ka banko la fanko samba nyame e man silolo ma wala ikol be do abebe dun ka nyokano nka sija nan ka banku dol moy mel warta gambiyate la kono warta ko la economy collapse kumol ka bore be ka kiw banks to la kodo mem je kala fa bonna bari bu ka bonni kodo e lab kodo e mem ma ba fay bu ka bonni
comme Lebanon
o ketale dulal bako Argentina nyol banku dol fanam be je mel yalon ko e futata wo lebu loto sain nintel ya mira hani malo mum bina sifala be mbulun tel be tankala wala yo mbita kan nyame abe koleal kafukanne doro nyimbo jetobe kolea kafukanna mol bandoro adum manna ay fenkije membe do balde mal wala ma bala fadati am fennati je me yalon ka se global dema travel budget jube o damma 292 million wala siata yemen di
agriculture travel le siata agriculture siata health fenkoti tourism youth and sports siata wolbe fisheries siata
ministre Jamal o travel force damma tabu dama adunga covid ki janne molka virtual meetings leke isi meeting jama cancel no le manta kadu haninte lat time 2017 mafa kata meeting dolto banku balmel boko Nigeria ila minister buka be aten ikajele la officers dol kina to represent them o be munete kam meeting ka jubele meya lonko defnel nyimbe fewulu la banko e nyin kumata yana bar meeting dol wije katal be nyi kacal kala kapsilol nyen tente ete hani manta woto e sibo reportol soto nole e atari e mantaje bare nyi mansa kunda malong ibita ka nyamen banko mol la députéol ye mol fail especially la NPP na la ñi independent meli ñi mbojeto fasa be julol le takan julol le mone firing e la borroing be selekan e habitat level leto ni tiling banks do la financing se ba fole tete julo tano la côté so ite be mental pour yela silol do han son etanol ado nga buko e bulata wole dinko kono katun ka fombe hakala ni fenko do kula na taxpayer money ya bondi budgetol ko so e nyanta tala bantali ye julu sono arenolta ye nawol do ko bar sila ye mall city ye projet ko follow accordate bulu pour ka la ban hakalanta tale for about 23 for 25%.
Yeah.
So ne nyin samba jame ba samba la fan so jani wasi lobe ban be sanyi lulu do sanyi
ko I see 4 billion no bari 2.2 la soto folo
2.2 la soto rek
silo do ko commence ta tam tam bital fo tema silo lelo
wol kay so mol si tew city de koleya nyin nyim budgeto ye wole sumam do bale ya talay fangalte malede bara mam do bal takije e man fondinki wol takije mal l'hôpital takije ne mira l'hôpital fan covid kodo billions men don taje bi mañana fala jio mankita banjul prebon o fo mol la frewbe talaje be tollaje o mbala fa ku balete so ye kodol be ke min tole
but Fatou min economy manta nyanta la silomena min tinyaro siata soto talata banko kan aka criminal yala wulu
insecurity
adu mo buka sikio mo buka tanka hanni yela bunjango lo bunyi mata yalo ni la dimbayal bije te ko fen so te betranga kono esina si boy kanje si ma si babale kanje
tonya
so umutanya to
senko mot
so ngamera be mo be fasa wala min tunga kata be sinio sotono banko la na floto e balud la soto membe sono yala menti jarela buli ita kido ngine na nyom banku dim fa pour nyin kam do ye fen soto e balu ya famle mota sikiola so adu obe siaka nyim banku hani tata provinces nyin frontiero la police station din min bije kili tol bulu ya famle so nyim mol min ka criminal ka bo across the border dol bem fon la banku ka ni be ka frin nyoma e ka dunnan kana boy mol kan ino bitki tioli kan kela bitikol te kela kodol ta kela fon décembre hani jang alla nyin silo men data tem coastal road serum ina da boy kendi mo ala bumulo fa pare ta sawon je tata je suto boy ta kanje ko do ko di babulu je ya beta you know so wala be continent o criminal ya wala be continent ni data busum bala nyol to fara do nyol to you can see it it's a criminal gang gandimli ya jele fanning kol kanyo groupe suto kata ka boy kan ndela ko dabe dami faydo almost ko dal min be muru yebe boy kan ndia fanning kol be siarin je buke la katra study la be ataya la fankola jama bu katra yana la won bar ko dal min be ente kuru yigita ko fembi je yewol be boy kan e fente bu
tonya
adu ni dunta by accident isi fa ni police oli ni ga de jifu di figo you know crime bita kan sando adna di crime bita kan sando ko la yalla bina kan banko
so kole ani fonga na bank wala dépense ndi nga wala ta na ko target so funding kewul funding kewul la area nga target kaje ko funding kewul do ko so banko ani funding kewul man do ko so be steering mo bebe complain la ni funding kewul be steering ba ataya la bari man do ko di
ko ni aje ni ko
ni man do ko di funding
kewul ni ko mo iso beta yata ko funding kewul ko aso be yata fe it should reflect in the budget 94 million wala the entire Ministry of Youth and Sports. Yes. Travel budget is 282.
Exactly.
Entire Ministry of Youth and Sports around 94. That only says munem.
Yeah.
I feel like what is the priority munet.
Because you don't budget or they got 280 something. Like coming after me agriculture. But agriculture need to coming up for Jolum, Alavansul, Motola Esanso, etc. Well, let me Pentige member Futala Senela farmer. Del dindima nga foye del dindima kol bita kan nyama demanding before 1986 ya jere ikaji ko ministry din departmental kana school olto ikan nyininka student ya safe itlafta career menna ni lafta agriculture ye to safe agriculture ni lafta education ye to safe be do kulal nyininna because that time investment bi jele membe ke kan agriculture ndel ni jita school drone de fulangol enter manual ye jamale men ya agriculture news bi dum ta do tata ke cutting engineer le wallahi ka men demonstrator kada senelal ma koy ni agriculture karan ita kunkoto senelal ma koy ke nyanda firo kele nyami nyanda jamfala nyola nyami nyanda fertilizer apply la nyami nyanda pesticides apply la nyami ibi je suto nintilo ibe moli kono jeeli ibe siri moli kono ibe moli advisor bi wo mixed farming central be tinyatale be dilapidated say moli nyina wala man tatta makan say so agriculture be siri njaldu no abante say lal be jana ibe ko fita nyoma so seno be yiri bala ne jahalo budget ma address
jahalo I remember funding kewol yala boko nganying small remnants project.
Exactly.
I never said IDB. Yeah. And nothing. Things 20 million.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wool sifa leka funding ke all dema.
Exactly.
Be sajul men yemen fono. Be import kang Mauritania, Senegal, Mali. Ni capital di wala.
Yeah.
Ye dula dada ye me alonko ye train.
Yeah.
You have experts maybe currently can you maintain nyami therefore in capital manke ko bata la bita commercial lo be kudo kala ye coach isi fan nafa isi profit soto ye fanjo banko si sajol soto and then we be sanna dalasilo barikata mi femen san sefa be sefa be 470 something maybe by the time next Tobaski bina be 500 and something. So will that be sajol baby mail import will that become. In small ruminants projects funding ke will empower no. Is poultry fanang project hold that no funding ke will. Can you see say wutol mail import. Dol bije malo will be freezer kono Europe minto lemba how many years? Ila quality ma fenke. Banko dol ka ya stop le. I understand Burkina Faso. It is a poultry side export. Yeah, production encourage the first side. El banco is self-sufficient. When it at the airport, it sees the frozen pack. Maybe it is some night. It's a poultry cane. It's a funding poultry no. Na fishing industry bije. Bari mang investment hani fenne ke ol.
Hani.
So yal funding ke ol sa long ko yal bula fonyo tole bula. Albe
nyin kacha sifa kumata bake honorable kumata bake kontanta bake nga mol mimbe ko also to I think it's important ka tandi badi ngol la fanandro modol be do ko min house to kumata ka tandi do ba kata kanne andu ye bangambe da maleje man kuje man fenje ka to wala kumata andu wana kumata ngafo ko nin mole carte fa hani bigger democracy ka ko la nyam jumale nyim fay jang jumale ya fay jang soma nin tata carte nin bita carte we base it against ila record. Oh, you voted for this. Is this in the interest of the country? Oh, for amantara interest of a beti ata nyim voting record so ka finti nkaje deputy jumale akate jumale nyim fay amari la justification so mana ana ta akate nyim bulu nza fay ite nyim da fono munati ne yake no wol kuma ya tale ko sa kuma ta bake
ajibe dro ye budget o nyim billion tan nyim fen yo be Kenya kotema sai ko isula to ko dola sa man fendi sen la bolon kono jam itata ko take ko bridgeol min ya lon ko bantalan ko lien swala grant men be basse anim fatko sa ite be tol kala woto pour mo be tela woto la ay ajo sa ibo foirol ibo la balwo ko landi kan go imam fendi la pour me alon ko me nyade til fasa sa inata ko fonko da ila burendi me ka so pour ka futa basse kan ka say la suwo kon ni be tela tumo to may be o fanan jola sa moto tiol min be wulli o sa wol fanan ko til tela bri jola sa be tula bakole sa be mol jindi la wolto ni mol jindi wol sa mol bara mbota men tunu
bara
nyim kulun ni mol sa be la fon bulen lawla yete yina sareto ta ba dala ko ke ita marseto ni parade ko ke bo marseto ko ke yele fon bulen de sareto la yina fonko yalo fana ba jola e bara jo ko ke yete ni futa de yele fon bulen de moto la pour que sambe la sata sa way bata murundi mol kan o ko la peal fana nata kaf ko ke ya jele menni essence wala da ka fote kilindi woni yele pewon say peya da say kafrin ko take because ko ni be tele basse tumotuma ibe tolo ni jola auto sa telefon bela pasol kafra so batabe kafu kan mol kan aka kafu mol matenne ya fam adu menya do be address la anyanda ngalo ne ko sanji kilin tabanna bar ni ya damu ta birin sai yake doman ni même fo ya be focus ring ya lon ko ngadai lo mestet fo nga futa woto ya fam ni silo mu dai ko lafta tala basse wala lafta birka ha sai instead of yeta sin jo alaji ma fane sai ke ko di kata fajara ya mere be futa la birka
ita futa
yo so ndel bola ke kan nga silo lan ko nyata tala birka man sai kan ko mutilin fajara la sai be futa la birka man nyaadi wala yakendi futa nyomo te keno wala
barka bake honorable Amadou munela kuma labawti badingol mi bijibero
badingol de sa fo nyim budget on tel ni ku yalla ndoron ko Gambia signi ñom budget si par soto and then ay tanna banku loi bu mbatu National Assembly wali ya tambinde banko mol saying kasi ntambita siyola ko nyaade lole efficiency nyen kuoto alu bulale lo ale talla député wol kan melye nyim pass ale tonya foy ko atelman fen do kuntele ngal samba jele atelle yekije pour aller banko mol fasa but instead ale torole la mol banko mol kan ale kole ale wulu banko mole so ale alonko ñil mantare do ko la atelier ñil yi fangle topoto ni ko National Assembly sign ngamara next time mo bebe la kala National
to bebe ta député ya ñino la ko bayri silang moto bi je ebe keno sotola
keno ebe lan sotola ebe den ko 100,000 sotola allowance balbe kala ebe sitting allowance balbe kala so amunta ko dal ñil yi fanne ni bo ñina tatella so ali wuli lo siyote ñin ko to ali wuli alla banko lo ni malla fi ngata boy banko eta boy adaka alwula lelo ale tonya fonyele fa ale menke amambete nyanta firinal
besi yelama
honorable kuma labango baade on membe jiberol
den kontanta bake yankumandi janyin kacala kadun telbe diam kan dibite bunguto do wuro men bereje bake kan anglais ko mol buka moy bari journalist sol min bije wala ka kumol ke dumandi fu banko ding fananka kumo dumandi moy so fukal tentu don kal jayi albi do ko men because nyanta men gela wala min dibite bum fon anyanta raji bum so la television me alon ko yela
le feo fem face mol sa moy
sa fo mo be sa moy yo bar no man soto ni journalist sol bem fa sala kan kumandi telephone nyanta wato wat nyanta nala ngana ko kume alon ko ay mol jakale wala la miro to mol nyanta lonna banko la koto alsen kumandi no nga ko kacha dibitel men ya longo yele do ko lo nol kumandi ite kuma bala ba ne dibitel kumandi men ya longo ite ya mira ko mo dole sabuje banko mol me sabuje adu membe jola fana amange mol la ko do ti o mari la betel jola o mira sifa no be dibitel bulu oto banko mam bu folo adu ni banku ni civic education be nyimme na ten wala nyanta tamandila hani ka suñaro men fo ni ñing siyata ni mo kilin to fo ton ka bay tiñaro ke o mari ba hakilo la dum mo jama fana ba hakilo to bar nin ko be ka ke
ka mabu duma
e ba jela ko tinyaro be continue la adu ni tinyaro continue ta nyim banku si vaga menka ke wala momen yalon goy bulo me ko be wala la bataka kafu momen yalon goy ka soto ke wala soto ka tar ka fulal do bar men yalon goy bulo me ko be wala fuar ya ka tar ka fulal adu nyim bojeto do ko wala nyanto falinna bari nyinam fana na chance men soto pour ka ko samba silola o fanan felta la nyinam fana o mol sa kala muto
honorable mbe tentula mbe jail and I want to make it on record ko ka foko kumol fota janne wato min ko development budget o ko ba findila honorable ko taw député follow to mi alon ko konte de ani alawan so mi abonde ko na den ko mbenta samal na sate to ngabo hololo na moli ngaje fo badi ngol mi ko karamba tour ñol be ya upload e control be ben dakele je ka sembentu ya ka tu abdo ko la molle wo ko mayata bake wala tinna nyim mo si fala ko mayata ke so to house ko no ka je ko mam pati jube to kam jube rek la molla nyanto ni mo so to mi ka bije pour ala molye akumayata bake wala tina wosifa akumayata mbaten tulamba jaila kunu nga commande pour na ka to ngala dulala je house to sorry bana ngala dulala je house wala na nga honorable mbeten tulambe jaila fana
fana mbaten tulamba jaila lawo barakuwa namita program do to wala commande the same thing la ay bo holol men singala molye atala 100,000 ta amanta waramba bata sang amanta manyo fulanyenen amang kudo ke afaye aya kala molle so wo ngani anyima yemen so te la banko molle na deputol be nyanta wasi fale sotolan so mel make si mulunyo ya Suwaibou ba lawo baro definitely nte ay impress bake na sita da nga congratulate wala nga nimbara lawo bara nyamala banku do ko be wonal e buka kora yake la jifo kon e ka invest le do ko yirwa mobe na faso toje an nimbara bake
peut-être ninka nyindol fisi andi nka tandidro fase modol fanan hamendi so me fana yake wolo ngani enti mbeten tula honorable barka bake honorable be fanan tentula wato wati dro nim budget ko rati nke kumandi kana budget do jibe mbeten tula be jayila na technical team wol mbeten tula be jay ani badi ngol mi ko bebe jibero la good night to you all for aram salon inshallah na Kerr Fatou programme to ala barka bake
better and stronger as the sole ground operator at the Banjul International Airport. With an expansion in travel services, customers are assured of GIA's capacity to cater for all their travel needs, provided by professional, experienced, and ever-smiling staff. GIA's Hajj package and services, by far the best in the country, give the customers the opportunity for a memorable Hajj experience. For a more efficient cargo services, GIA means business as it launches its new multi-million-dollar ultra-modern cargo complex to revitalize and stimulate air transport. GIA, the pride of the Gambia.
Every day is a new opportunity to make sure our first impressions are always our best and to see possibilities on the horizon. To make our facilities and services more accessible and find freedom all around us. With a location proximity to active markets, with a liberal air transportation policy. That daily pursuit is how we turn everyday opportunities for you. For all destination marketing support, customized packages for new existing airlines and operators, and for a highly ranked tourist destination, the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority is here to serve. We regulate air transport, operate and manage BIA technical requirements merged with commercial considerations. We have experienced and well-trained aviation professionals to cater for your needs. For investment opportunities in building airport hotels, shopping malls, playground for children, do contact us on 4472-831, 4472-893. Gambia Civil Aviation Authority. We go beyond daily.